DIO is a speedy rushdown character with good neutral and high damage, but is plagued by the lack of mix-ups, a few terrible moves and attributes in his disposal. He is quite simple to play at a beginner's level, but difficult when played optimally as he has high execution ceiling. His standoff mode focuses on rushing down as his dash is very fast, has minimal startup, and he has good dashing normals to go alongside it. His optimal combos also start from standoff mode most of the time. His stand-on mode is more on the defensive footsie side, boasting large normals with good frame advantage and one of the best supers in the game in stand-on knives. But it is considerably slower than stand-off mode, and stand-on combos are a little bit limited compared to stand-off. When playing DIO, you should prioritize getting in and pressuring your opponent most of the time. Although his mix-ups are a little mediocre, he can make great use of his stagger game and pressure resets due to his fast dash. If you are forced to stay at mid-range, you have good poking tools that have close to no risk to throw out. Stand-on knives punishes any projectile attempts on reaction and gives frame advantage on block. One last thing to mention is that DIO is one of the largest characters in the game. His neutral stand-off stance is quite tall, his stand-off crouch is very wide, and his stand-on is extremely tall in both standing and crouching. This usually means the opponent has more options when pressuring and allows for some extremely weird combos. Before we look into his moves, it is important to understand the numpad notations first. Imagine a calculator or a keypad, then try to think of it as the directions on a fight stick, with 5 being neutral, 6 being forward, 3 being down forward, and so on. Heritage for the Future uses a 4-button layout with A, B, and C referring to light, medium, and heavy respectively, and S being the stand button. So if I say S2C, I am referring to stand on down heavy, or the move where the road punches you in the ankles. Now that you have learned about the notations, let's get on with the move list. His lights are some of his most important tools inside his arsenal. 5A being the second fastest move he has that comes out on frame 3, and it is also quite a good anti-air. Dashing 5A is the fastest move DIO has at frame 2, it is a great pressure tool in some matchups, plus it is quite important in his combos. His infamous 2A might be his most important tool period. It is a low that has close to no risk to throw out, goes into his most damaging combos, and can be used to confirm long range combos with dashing 2A. Speaking of dashing 2A, it is also mandatory in his game plan. It's pretty much 2A on the go with just a tiny bit more recovery. It can very easily catch people not blocking low in neutral and can pick up some very surprising punishes. JA is his fastest aerial move, which covers a very nice angle below him. This makes it one of your best jump-ins, and it can usually be a good air-to-air too. DIO's B buttons aren't that impressive. 5B, 2B, and their dashing counterparts are good anti-airs, and 5B has some usage in impractical combos. JB is not a common move because it is mostly outclassed by JA aside from the damage. 5C is a good anti-air that launches on grounded hit. Pairs extremely well with his 236S and can sometimes be used for tech chasing. 5C is used in his combos involving the barrage combo ender, as it sometimes gives hard knockdown with the least recovery. Emphasis on sometimes. Dashing 5C is one of the buttons we be pressing the most with DIO. This button goes very far, and coupled with DIO's extremely fast dash, you get one of the best approach tools in the game. Don't forget to always cancel into 214C or 236S to stay safe or confirm into a combo. 2C is an alright poking neutral and can be exchanged with 5C as a combo ender. 5C is quite inconsistent in combos because it will launch if IPS gets affected. 2C can be used in that scenario where you don't trust 5C hard knockdowning, though you have to deal with that 11 extra recovery frames unfortunately. Dashing 2C can be thrown out in neutral from time to time as it has more range than dashing 5C, though significantly slower and less rewarding. It is also used as a very long range combo ender, mostly after hitting the tip of dashing 5C in neutral. JC is a very good air-to-air normal as it hits more horizontally than JA and JB. It is also quite useful as a mix-up tool by doing jump back JC as an instant overhead to cash out some damage after a pressure string and return to neutral. S5A has nice range and is quite advantageous. Confirms into his Rekka B&B and is an integral part of his advanced combos, although a little slow compared to other light normals in 5-frame startup. It is also used to build meter and neutral by spamming S4A. S2A is one of the better moves for pressuring your opponent as it can frame trap into itself. It is a low too and also goes into his Rekka B&B. Dashing 5A is a useless move.
It's worthless. Forget about it.
As it does not combo into anything. In contrast, dashing S2A is a great stagger and pressure tool. It may not chain into any normals, but if used with his other normals it can be quite obnoxious to guess on when to press buttons. SJA is mostly outclassed by SJB as an air normal, but it is faster and is used in his instant overhead mix-up on stand-on opponents. S5B is one of your best mid-range pokes. It goes very far in front of DIO and has quite a lot of active frames. A little known fact is that S6B is another move entirely. It may have S5B's animation, but the frame data is different. Same speed, 3 more active frames, and 3 less recovery. It also does not activate scaling, unlike S5B, so it technically outclasses S5B. You would probably still be using S5B more because you can do it while holding it backwards. Dashing S5B is even worse than dashing 5A. Avoid entirely. S2B is the aforementioned terrible moves. Aside from fast startup, it has bad everything else. It's not even as good as a combo filler since it pushes back a lot. However, dashing S2B is a very good move. It's very useful as a pressure tool as it is safe on block and can be linked to S5A for a confirm. This move moves you forward a lot due to it being a dashing move, so it is very useful inside a block string when you want to be closer. SJB is your best stand-on air-to-air. Great frame data and hitboxes. You would be cancelling this into air Muda for frame advantage on block and extra damage on hits. One other obscure B button is actually the S5AABB chain. It is an overhead with a quite reactable 24 frame startup. Not really recommended in block strings either. At that point the opponent will probably be push blocking. It also cannot be cancelled into anything else. It has its use as a tandem unblockable setup from a knockdown. S5C is a great anti-air. It's pretty slow but still good. It has a big hitbox but can be ducked by some characters. Dashing S5C is your tech chase and follow up to knives. It is uncancelable unlike S5C. It can create an unblockable scenario when S236AA is blocked midair, as it makes them stay in place. It can anti-air more or less just as equal as S5C, plus some additional extra movements. S2C reaches very far and is a decent poke. Not very impressive on its own. However, Shane S2C is extremely safe on block for how rewarding it is, and dashing S2C reaches very far and is equally safe. It's also quite a good Rekka confirm. SJC has a stupid horizontal reach and disjoint, making it a good space control normal. Its slow startup and only a single active frame hinders it a bit though. DIO's grab and guard cancels are some of the worst in the game. More so the grab. If you grab, the screen will turn grey, telling everybody that you have grabbed. Once he punches, the opponent can take down and punish you with whatever medium range special they have. As for the guard cancel, it's not as unspeakably bad as his grab, though still on the very weak side of guard cancels. Guard cancelling is done by doing a 6-2-3 motion plus any button when you are blocking. DIO will do a barrage and send the enemy flying. If they are hit in the air, then you are safe, but they can still freely approach you by taking forward. If you hit them near the ground, they can ground take and potentially punish you with a fast move. Though a guard cancel is way less telegraphed and frankly a bit more usable than a grab. (236X) is the barrage. Pretty much used exclusively for combos and okizeme. A summons the word in place, B makes it travel slightly forward, and C makes it move even more. This move grants your combos a great ender for scale damage and meter build. You will usually get an entire bar back from using barrage as a combo finisher. For okizeme, this move can be set up when the opponent is down, so that you can either go for a low with 2A or a high with JA. Your opponent has to guess which move you are going to go for. This essentially makes it a rock, paper, scissors situation. Never use this move in neutral. You are extremely vulnerable when the ward is out there. Not only can you not block, but the stand itself also has a hurt box. You can get supered through very easily. The stand-on version is a decent move. It can be used to keep the opponent at mid-range because it has quite a fast startup and doesn't last an eternity like stand-off. You can mash any button to extend the duration. Even though it can be punished on hit, barely anyone can react that fast or even has the tool to punish. It can be cancelled into S214A for a frame trap, and potentially cancelled into tandem to make it safe. Beware that the move's recovery is very high. Get ready to eat a tandem if you mash it too much. It also has ridiculous stand gauge damage for whatever reason and can be used for some weird stand crush setup. 214X is the gut punch, very essential to his combo game and pressure. Using different buttons will make the word travel at different distances, with A being the shortest and C being the farthest. This move can be comboed from any normal that isn't an air normal or ones that knock down, and is safe on block if you decide to follow up, but you do have to be mindful of guard cancels. This move allows conversion for far ranges, and notably, allows dashing 2A to be a very threatening tool in neutral. 214X is a very key component in his mid-screen confirms and optimal combo extender. S214X is always referred to as Rekka, good for combo enders and block strings in stand-on. If you press S214X alone, it will come out as a single gut punch similar to the stand-off version. This move is unsafe even on hit, but can be cancelled into tandem to make the move safe for 1 bar. Doing S214X twice will give you the ender. You can delay the 2 hits to bait the enemy into pressing a button if they block it. The second hit is quite safe when blocked, only a few things can punish it like Jotaro's S5A. All versions are identical and gives you a launch when done raw, or a hard knockdown if you do it from a combo. This is your primary meterless stand-on combo ender from a short string. Gives you a good knockdown that can lead into Okizeme, although a weak one. By inputting 623X, DIO will teleport to a specific location depending on which button was pressed. A to the left side of the screen, B to the center, and C to the right side. It can cover a lot of distances very quickly and is fully invincible during the entire duration, which can help you get out of many bad situations. However, it can still be grabbed similar to a roll, meatied, or mixed up. You can attempt to do a fast or invincible moves after it to beat said meaties, like Bloody Summoning, 2A, 236S, or Tandem. You can try teleporting in place to confuse an opponent trying to meaty the teleport. His S623X is the most useless thing in this entire game. Literally cannot be used in any situation at all. This move sends the world out to attack the opponent's back, but it doesn't actually require you to block the other side. It takes a century to come out, leaves you wide open and doesn't have any combo potential. And as icing on the cake, you also take double damage when using this move too. DIO's eye laser is done by doing 6CBA6. It is an unblockable move that goes full screen, but it is very slow. It is used to catch the opponent off guard on full screen or during a tech chase, though you need to beware of fast dashes or full screen supers on reaction. One tip to use laser is to conceal your voice. When inputting laser on the ground, DIO will have to whiff 5C first, which gives off a loud noise to let the opponent know that you are trying to do the laser. What you want to do is input most of the laser inside an air normal to hide the voice, as DIO's JA or JC does not make any sounds. Then you need to land and finish your input. This move launches on hit, which allows for tech chase with more lasers or a chance to get back in the opponent's face. 236S is a very versatile tool and very useful for many situations. It has 2 frames of startup to potentially break the opponent's pressure strings or punish a drop combo. It is used as a safe way to poke alongside dashing 2A or dashing 5C. It can be used to end or reset pressure as it is +2 on block. It is great as an anti-air follow-up from 5B, 2B, or 5C, and is used in some stand crash combos. It also has some weird properties, like having a few invincibility frames on recovery and can be made cancelable into tandem and Rekka from hitting or whiffing set Rekka. Overall, a very important tool in DIO's toolkit, and you will be using this a lot. 236AA will give you the infamous knife throw. The standoff version is a very bad super, one of the worst in the game. It has extremely slow startup that will never punish anything. It barely has any invincibility, so it's bad for reversals, and it is unsafe on block to boot. though it does slightly more damage than its stand-on counterpart, but its slow startup hinders it a lot. It can be used for some stylish stand crash combos, but it's never really worth it. Avoid this super. Speaking of the stand-on version, it is one of the best supers in the game. It has light years faster startup than stand-off, making it a very potent punish tool. It has a lot of invincibility to blow through moves. The hitbox is very tall, so it can punish a lot of jumps. It also does a load of ship damage on block. Using knives will almost guarantee you a turn, as you either force them to block or roll through the knives. If your opponent blocks the knives in mid-air, you can get an unblockable normal to hit them out, usually a dashing S5C and guarantee damage. And if they block on the ground, you can run back in there and hit them for more pressure. Stand-on knives is very safe on block contrary to the stand-off version. If the knives hit, you can do a few more to guarantee some easy big damage at the cost of a few bars. It's very worth it considering the amount of damage and ease of use, though this is a little hard to confirm. You can also bait guard cancels with this. They will either get hit with more knives if they guard cancel too early, or if they guard cancel at the right moment, you block it and punish them. The air version is even faster than the ground version, and you will probably be using this more too. It fills in the role of a long range punish in the air and a decent but resourceful landing option. Do not use this move carelessly at every moment you want, as you will waste your meter a lot, because some moves with a lot of invincibility frames and go through it, such as Tandem. This is a very common mistake at low level. But still, this move is where 70% of your meter goes to. Road Roller. A very cool super yet not useful at all. It has very slow and telegraphed startup due to DIO flying into the sky and the big super flash. It is extremely punishable on block and sometimes even on hit. You can fit Road Roller into some stylish combos, but this will not do as much damage as your normal combos because of damage scaling, and you will be wasting some extra meters just to get Road Roller to even hit anyways. This move is technically your optimal punish against some moves like Mariah's 236 AA or Vanilla Ice's 214 AA. This will rarely happen, however. Bloodly Summoning is the funniest super in the game. Executed by doing BA6AC, it has extremely weird properties, most prominently having 0 frames of startup after the super flash, making it unblockable if you didn't block it before the freeze. This move also has invincibility throughout its duration that allows you to punish some attempts at attacking. The amount of invincibility this move has and the long active frames can result in some funny moments. Weirdly enough, it doesn't hit airborne opponents, but you can still block in the air due to it being a hit grab. Though this move is hindered a little by its very weird motion that makes it much harder to pull off, being quite unsafe on block and it giving subpar Oki. Time's Up is sadly not as good as you might think. Time's Up is done by doing 6C-A6S while having a minimum of 3 bars. If done correctly, you are put into a nearly 2-second long pose where the opponent can freely smack you out of it. That is the whole reason why Time's Up is not worth it most of the time. The amount of bar dictates on how long you'll be able to act in Time's Up, with a minimum of 3 seconds and a maximum of 10 seconds. The setup for Time's Up requires the opponent to have their stand on, and for you to have more than 4 bar, which will rarely happen since you will be mostly spending them on knives or tandem. When you manage to land it, however, you can deal quite a lot of damage. Even more than the B&B if you can manage to get a few set of knives up and land the finishing Road Roller. Though considering that Time's Up will drain all your meter, but the B&Bs actually build some meter, this is not worth it aside from style or when you're fighting Iggy and none of your B&Bs work. Tandem is a universal mechanic for all stand-on characters that benefits all of them. Tandem puts you into a 80 frames of super flash where you can input attacks for your stand to do. The most common pattern is doing A, B, C 5 times. You can also input special and super inside it for some stylish combos. This move gives many characters, including DIO, very high damage potential for only a small amount of meter. For DIO specifically, you can gain the meter spent on Tandem back due to the barrage and they're building a ton of meter back. Tandem is also a very strong reversal, as it gives you quite a lot of invincibility, even after you recover. And since there isn't an actual attack, it cannot be punished on block. You can just think of it as free invincibility for 1 bar. Your leftover 30% of meter will be spent here. DIO works like your average JoJo's character. He has honest neutral tools, and the reward for winning neutral can be massive. If you want to get your offense started, your tools will include your long-range normals, extremely fast dash, and relentless but easily blocked pressure. Your goal here is to land a stray hit that can be converted into a combo. That task can either be very easy or extremely difficult depending on the matchup. Dashing 5C, dashing 2A, and air approaches will be your most important tools to keep the enemy on their toes, as they are very fast. Dashing 5C reaches stupendously far and will catch some attempts at jumping. Dashing 2A also reaches far and it will catch the enemy not blocking low. Cancel all these normals into 236S for guaranteed safe pressure ender. You are +2 after a block 236S, which might allow for some stagger pressure. In some matchups like Jotaro or Kakyoin, you will want to play more defensively. Going stand on and pressing buttons carefully are the way to go to deal a little damage over time. S5B or S6B is very nice to press in neutral a lot of the time, but your main goal stays the same though, to land your highly damaging combos. Push blocking will be your second option as starting your offense. Push blocking or doing ABC inside block stun is very good for DIO, because dashing 2A will catch a lot of stuff and goes quite far too. Again, that will be your primary defensive option to get your own offense started. This will be very good for when you are blocking random stray hits. Just be careful to not do it too much, as you can end up accidentally rolling. For people that are camping you out and shooting projectiles at you, teleport is quite a great option here, alongside your dash of course. Sometimes you would want to actually teleport a little outside of point blank range to bait a button. Then you will use your dashing normals to catch said whiff buttons. Knives are also great at catching zoners, and it is also useful to get your pressure started. Honestly, DIO's neutral won't be that long since your fast mobility can skip neutral most of the time. What I've said isn't all there is to his neutral though. There are more unorthodox options like laser or bloody summoning to use, but those are just your basic options. You should try coming up with your own game plan as well. So, you got the opponent blocking a normal. What next? A very common option is to go into 214A, as that grants you a nice frame advantage, and you can dash in to repeat the block string again. You cannot do this indefinitely though, as push blocking will be a huge thorn to your pressure strings. It really prevents DIO from sticking to your face all game long. Fortunately, DIO's dashing normals and close the distance push blocking makes very quickly, and if the 214A is push blocked, DIO himself isn't actually pushed back. You want to make sure that if you get push blocked, you will dash in back immediately. Guard cancel will be quite a problem too. You will want to actually drop your strings a bit to make them mess up the 623 motion, making them with a normal or an entire special. You can also mix your block string up with a dashing JC for a high. This is very reactable as a mix-up, but it will keep the opponent from sleeping. And if they are asleep and doesn't block your JC, you can land and link a 2A and convert into a full combo. But if they aren't asleep and blocks all your JCs and 2As, your next option is to delay each hit and intentionally leaving a gap. Your opponent will eventually try to press a button if they want to win, and they will usually press set button when they see that you are finished with the block string to get their turn back. This is hard stagger pressure. As 2A is very advantageous on block, you can do each hit very slowly to bait out a move. As a cherry on top, you can bait guard cancels too as mentioned before. If the opponent is in stand on, your mix-ups get significantly stronger, as you get an instant overhead SJA into air Muda for a free stand crash into a full combo. The overhead is very unreactable as you'll be doing it instantly when rising up. It is a very strong option against people who are camping in stand on. You can always end your pressure strings in 236S if you want guaranteed safety at the cost of more pressure. If you're feeling very bold and the opponent is very scared of you, you can try some wacky pressure strings, like dashing 5A into dashing 5A into more dashing 5As. Again, this is very good against tall characters, especially against himself and the Josephs. You can do repeated JCs for people who are respecting you too much. Crossing the opponent up during a pressure string is really inconsistent, as it is very unsafe, and most characters' collision boxes won't allow that, but it is an option if you condition the opponent enough. As for stand-on pressure, you should try using this from time to time. The fast and unrelenting pressure is gone, but stand-on pressure is much safer as you don't really rely on easy guard cancelled stuff, and the stand-on mechanics prevents you from getting knocked down as well. You get a nice S5A and S2A for some stagger pressuring as it is slightly plus on block. Dashing S2B is your most unique tool in stand-on. It's highly plus on block and can be linked into 5A for easy confirming. And you can even turn stand off and do an instant 2A to transition back to your most powerful state. S236C and S214A also deserve a mention here. The barrage can be mashed for longer duration to stuff out more buttons and to pressure the opponent even more into the corner. Or you could not mash at all to end early. You need to be extra unpredictable when using barrage, as you can get counter-poked a few times and potentially eating a super if you get too predictable. S214A's follow-up can be delayed to quite an amount for more stagger pressuring. The follow-up itself is not that safe on block, but mostly unpunishable. Do the follow-up if you want to end your pressure and return to neutral. The first hit of S214A can also be cancelled into tandem to make it completely safe, puts you back into standoff, and gives you a brief period of invincibility to go back in and continue pressuring. The move itself is actually cancelable from S236C, allowing for one more layer of staggering. A counterplay to DIO's pressure is rolling. DIO cannot grab without losing a chunk of his life. DIO's best option here is to melee the roll with any normal, forcing them to block or eat your combo. Most common melee moves are any jumping normals, 2A, S6B, or sometimes even raw 236C for a weird, inconsistent semi-50-50 mix-up. Most of DIO's ways to open the opponent up is a little reliant on you observing the enemy's reaction to different situations. You need to take advantage of what the opponent is not familiar with, and use that to your advantage to get some big damage up. Experimenting and labbing is a way to get better. So use this guide as just a foundation to build your own and unique DIO. Before we touch on what DIO does, let me explain the meaning of Okizeme. I'm gonna copy this from the fighting game glossary. Okizeme is the mind games and mix-up that occur around attacking and blocking when someone is rising from a knockdown. If you understand this, then let's get back to DIO. DIO is one of the characters with a bit more limited Oki options in the game. His only unique Okizeme option is 236C 50-50 mix-up. By doing 236C before the enemy wakes up, then doing JA for a high or 2A or low as soon as they get up, the enemy will have to guess which move is coming out, as you cannot low block JA or stand block 2A. Inherited for the future, if you hit them on the very first frame they wake up, they cannot do anything except block. That means no wake up tandem, wake up DP, wake up heat, and so on and so forth. This is why 50-50 mix-ups and unblockable in this game are especially strong. But in DIO's case, his 50-50 is quite inconsistent on some of the cast, as the top 8 of 236C does not hit set characters. If it drops, the opponent can mash roll to get out of the 236C and potentially get a punish. To kick this Oki down even further, you typically cannot get this from your usual knockdowns. Rekka Ender has high recovery, and your 5C Ender from Tandem will typically have the world still in recovery. The knockdowns you will typically get this Oki from is the Chain S2C Ender, which doesn't come by often, and Raw 2Z or Dashing 2Z cancel into 236S. Other than that, your other options are the universal ones, such as meaties and empty jumps. DIO's combos are one of the most important things you need to know, as they give a very high amount of damage and meter gain. The general concept of standoff combos is to hit a normal and confirm to 214A or 214C. Your follow-ups depend on what you want to do. You want to end most of your combos in 236C, as that gives you the most damage and meter, though Rekka and Dashing 2C will be good in some scenarios as well. These combos can be started by every single normal, except 5C, 2C, and Dashing 2C. Your most common starters are 2A, Dashing 2A, or Dashing 5C. If you are having trouble with a certain part of a combo, I recommend you practicing the parts you are struggling with individually, then start to piece everything together once you get each section consistent. One of the very first combos you will want to learn is the Dashing 2C Ender. Simply do any starter you want, and when it hits, do 214A, then dash again and hit 2C. As simple as that. This combo sees used even at the highest level, mostly as a verified Dashing 5C confirm, where the second 2A won't be able to hit. Since if you get a hit at close range, you can do much more damaging combos. This is a very simple combo in stand-on, and pretty much the only combo you will use in stand-on as well. This combo requires no tricks whatsoever, just do it. You can replace S5A with S2A, do 2 S5As, or link the S5A from dashing S2B. This combo will also turn on the opponent's stand if they have stand-on, which is a nice addition. This combo is not a full combo per se, but it acts more like a foundation for more practical situations in a real match. Doing 2A into 214A as a starter will be seemingly quite difficult at a beginner's level, and it is. Even high-level players drop this from time to time. This starter utilizes a technique called negative edging. When you hold down a button, do a special move motion, and release the button, and the special will come up. When pressing 2A normally, quickly do a 2-4 motion without pressing the button again. This will give you the starter you need. If it doesn't come out, try holding 2A just a tiny bit so that you give time to yourself to finish the motion. This might take a while, so practice a lot until you can do it consistently. If you have any problems, feel free to ask in the comments. If you ever land stand-on knives in neutral, this is your best metered follow-up. It deals very nice damage for just 3 bar. You can actually get more knives if you do it fast enough. Confirming this is a bit hard in neutral. If you accidentally did more knives on block, you might be wasting a lot of meter for barely anything. After this point, the combos will significantly get harder. The starter in each combo refers to any normal cancelled into 214A. This combo is your primary meterless BNB. This combo builds an impressive amount of meter and deals very decent damage, nearly half health. This is one of the combos you'll be using the most alongside the metered version. 2A into dashing 5A is quite an easy link. The trick here is to input the dash when DIO is doing 2A, then finish the motion just when DIO is finished with the move. Dashing 5A into 236C can also be tricky, due to the inputs naturally giving you a 623 instead of a 236. What you want to do is release all your controls after dashing 5A to not start the 6-2 motion by accident, then quickly doing a 236C. Again, this takes quite a bit of practice due to being a weird motion to do. This combo is very inconsistent on most crouching characters, as dashing 5A will whiff on them, so make sure the opponent is standing up when doing this. If you remember the stand-on combo from a while ago, this is how you would transition from that combo from stand-off. This is mostly used as a reliable ender on crouching opponents. This combo requires what is called a wall cancel and a plink. After pressing the final 2A, press forwards or backwards, either one works. This will reduce DIO's ending recovery. After that, press S and A on the same moments. This combo has around 5 frame window to link it, or around 0.1 seconds. That may sound very intimidating, but it's not hard by any means, but the learning process can be tricky as always. Here it is, the infamous DIO BNB. This combo does a little over half health of damage for a single meter and gives you the said meter back. Extremely worth it to learn, but not really mandatory. The part most people will find problem with is the S5A dashing S2A link. This is a 4 frame link, but quite a hard one. You want to use the buffer technique once again here. Input the first forward motion when DIO is doing the punch, then input another one right when he finishes. The final hard part is doing dashing 2A into tandem. The problem here is that you will get S214A instead of 214S. This is because of our old friend negative edge working against us. Similar to doing 2A 214A, doing dashing 2A into 214S might backfire in that you release the A button before you press the S button. The solution I always use is hold the dashing 2A instead of just pressing it. Negative edge cannot come out if you don't release the button. When DIO is in tandem, you want to press A into B into C for how many times you want. The most common amount is 5 times. You can start by practicing with 2 times, then go up to 3, up to 4, and so on. And you absolutely need to keep track of how many times you do it, as you want to time your ender properly. Barrage ender is too good to pass up. The dashing 2A in parentheses is optional. You can do it to add an extra point of damage. More importantly, it can be used for more long range or late cancel confirms. It has fast speed that can actually make the dashing 2A hit before the stand does, thus making it very crucial to those specific situations. Remember that the S5C in the tandem does not actually hit crouching opponents, so switch to 4ABC for each reps. This route will do less damage and the barrage ender will not be consistent on most characters, so I don't really recommend it. If you were to hit the opponent crouching, opt for the Rega Ender instead. Definitely learn this combo if you want to be a next level DIO. If you manage to break the opponent's stand while they're blocking, they will be in extra high hit stun. Stand crush allows for more creative routes, such as doing Maha tandems, landing Road Roller, or getting an easy time stop setup. If you do S214X, whether it hit or not, the next time you do 236S, it will be cancelable into S214A or even tandem. This is used in some very optimal stand crash combos. Whiffing any stand-on moves will change the property of the top hit of Air Muda to whatever move you just whiffed. This can turn a potential air approach into a low by whiffing S2A, make the Air Muda knock down by whiffing S2C, and making bloody summoning come out of Air Muda. This glitch also works between rounds. This works when DIO activates time stop a few moments before a round ends. This glitch can be activated by knives. The condition to activate this is a little bit weird though. The opponent has to have a fast wake up time like Vanilla Ice, you need to be hit once to not get a perfect, and the round must not be the last one. If all the conditions are met and you pull this off, you basically won the game. Anything you do inside time stop will have their damage increased by a ridiculous amount to the point where nearly everything will instantly kill the enemy. Keyword is nearly everything. There's a nifty little unblockable setup you can do with DIO. By knocking the opponent down and doing specific of inputs inside a tandem, you can hit both low and high at the same frame, creating an unblockable. When dashing with your stand out, your lower hurt box ceases to exist. This means you can comically dash over some moves like Black Ponares 2B or Rubber Soul 214X. This matchup is quite a big knowledge check and oppressive on either side depending on the skill level. DIO has many tools to overwhelm whole all game. New players though, like to go stand off offense most of the time, and one 5C could mean death from a well-timed push block or a punish on some moves. DIO is one of the characters that Ho can very easily touch of death you. 5C to 14C works from almost anywhere on DIO, and with 2 bars on his disposal, he can easily take you down with 1 hit. There's one problem though, 5C to 14C doesn't actually work on stand opponents, as 5C won't wall bounce, and Ho generally has a hard time opening up stand on enemies. The general tip is to play patiently, block everything he throws at you and either camp him out, punishing his attempts at full screen zoning with air knives or slowly approach and bait rolls to start your own offense. If he gets some kind of pressure string on you, be sure to push block the Hangman's special, then get out of there. To be honest, knives really is the thing that makes this matchup hell for Ho. It will catch him trying to do anything, including full screen gun, air glass or even frame trapping. If you play this matchup properly, you'll find this one as one of the easiest for DIO. This matchup is meme to death, and for good reasons. Jotaro literally has every tool to beat DIO. Jotaro's normals are one of the biggest reasons why DIO cannot approach most of the time. His S5B has massive disjoint to poke you out in neutral. S5A is your worst nightmare. It can beat all your air approaches, it easily gets himself out of your pressure due to being the fastest normal in the game, hits quite high and it's even safe on block. DIO additionally cannot crouch under S5A, except low profiling it with 2A or 2C. And if he ever gets a hit, he can convert it into his dangerous 50-50. It's even extra easy on DIO because his slow wake up time and wide hurt box. Turning stand on won't save you either. Jotaro has ridiculous stand gauge damage on his moves, and will literally break your stand from any hit. That will result in very high damage and it will even go into his 50-50. Starbreaker will kill any attempts at long block strings and it even goes through knives. As even more of a kick to this matchup, if Jotaro rolls and presses nothing, he will have an extra long periods of invincibility, and since DIO cannot grab, he can wait for you to press a button only for it to pass through him, or start his own pressure freely. Remember, getting hit once in this matchup results in death. Your best bet is to play defensively and zone with stand on using your long normals like S6B and hope that Jotaro doesn't outpoke you, which he definitely will. Also hope that the Jotaro doesn't know the matchup that well and doesn't turn stand on. Stand off Jotaro is a little bit easier for DIO to deal with, but he's still very dangerous. This is a weird matchup. Although most of your combos won't work on Iggy, you can rely on winning neutral a lot. Iggy's Okizeme from grab is quite lethal. You need to look out for his grab a little extra, as Iggy's walking speed is the fastest in the game. Mashing 2A will avoid his grab pretty well. DIO can actually try to take his grab, as Iggy won't be able to punish your grab most of the time. If you get grabbed, you can use an exploit against Iggy's grab. For some reason, Iggy's grab actually ignores the block only rule on Okizeme. That means no true meaties. You can jump backwards while turning stand on at the same time to reduce your jump startup. This will avoid some meaties like 2B, though you're still vulnerable to Sandball's meaty. Iggy's Sanddogs Oki is a little tricky to beat. If you block Iggy's attack, you get grabbed by the dogs, so to escape it you need to get hit. As soon as you're out of the hit stun, quickly jump out. There are more options that Iggy can do, but those listed are some of Iggy's most unique Oki options. In neutral, you have to play very patiently. Iggy excels at turtling with his float and sandballs. You can slowly poke your way through sandballs, and knives will be quite strong here as it guarantees you to get in. Even if Iggy blocks the knives, you can still go in for a dashing S5C. And if you have a chance of getting your pressure going, go for it. Iggy has a very difficult time getting in on you, as your buttons will stuff a lot of his own buttons out, especially dashing 5C. About the combo routes, looping into dashing 2C will be your only route against standoff. You can do the S2A pling S5B into Rekka for the ender, but that's quite an unusual link that you won't use that much. Most of your combos will work again against stand on. Just beware about his stand breaking mid combo, as that can drop your own combo as well. Shadow DIO's blinding speed might catch you a lot at first, but you have quite a number of tools to keep him in check. Most importantly, the use of the push blocking and 236S will be very relevant to beating his pressure. Shadow DIO is quite weak to push blocking, and creating distance is the key to putting him back on neutral. Shadow DIO won't be that threatening if he isn't on your face. Keep him out with your big normals. Knives will almost guarantee you are punished inside his pressure. Save your meter for it. Knives are also useful to reaction punish any attempts of laser or knives on full screen. Your combos that will usually drop on crouching characters will work on crouching Shadow DIO normally, as he is pretty tall. It will be quite easy to keep Shadow DIO from getting in, but it's not uncommon for you to mess something up and let Shadow DIO hit you. If that happens, you're in a very bad spot. DIO won't be able to escape his Okizeme that often, once again due to his large hurtbox and slow wake up speed. You need to try and escape his pressure like how every character does. Guess correctly or you die. Tandem might be a good reversal option if you have the meter. Just beware of well-timed meaties or cross-up that will mess up the motion. Overall, lame Shadow DIO out at all costs. If he gets in, prepare for 10 stages of hell. But that will rarely happen though. And for the last part of this guide, let's break down my DIO mirrors with Seiko's. My DIO is a default color and Seiko's DIO will be in the crazy diamond palette. At the beginning, we see Seiko's do a round start teleport. This can help you get close to the opponent immediately, or you can teleport a little outside of their attack range to fish for a whiff punish, which he successfully does so. He does not convert into a combo because of how far that 2A hit. Instead, he rushes in to keep pressure on me with dashing 5C. He actually ends his pressure safely by ending it with 236S as to minimize risk. I push block his pressure strings to try and get some breathing room. Push blocking will be important against DIO as his pressure strings are quite long and push blocking will help push him off. He saw the distance between us and closes that distance. When I saw him do that, I tried to preemptively push block to avoid pressure immediately, but Seiko's didn't actually hit me, so I accidentally rolled. This is the reason you need to push block mindfully, as if you do it too much, you might end up accidentally rolling and lose your advantage. He meaties my roll with S2A into S2C. That chain S2C is actually very safe on block. Seiko's caught me trying to take my turn back with a dashing into B frame trap, but he failed to convert as he went for the hard combo route of doing stand on to stand off conversion, instead of just linking to S5A. After he failed his conversion, he still tries to continue to pressure me. I push block his dashing 2A and saw the opportunity to take my turn back. I followed it up with a dashing 2A as that will cover a lot of distance push blocking creates, and it can give you a punish. I successfully confirmed my dashing 2A into a full B&B combo. This will take quite a while to finish. Luckily, my 5C gave me a hard knockdown. This is a great opportunity to give him a semi-reactable high-low mix-up. I went for a mix-up known as an empty low. If you saw someone jumping, you would block high naturally, but doing nothing and going for a low immediately after landing is a great option as well, as that will catch them off guard. But this can be predicted if you go for it too many times. I converted the 2A into another B&B to finish him off, but unfortunately, I dropped the 2A to 4A combo, and gave him another chance to survive. Seiko's uses 236S here, as that is one of the safest things you can do in a scramble situation and pushes me far out. I dodged his knives and the roll meaty. I actually tried to go for a bloody summoning here, as that would catch any roll meaties due to its invincibility. But I think I messed up the motion and got a single 5A instead. I finally finished off this round with an instant overhead. Seiko sees me with my stand on in the corner, so he used knives to get some plus frames and forced me to block, as stand on DIO cannot roll to avoid the knives. I actually don't know why he 5C'd here. I assumed he was going to go for a dashing 5C but somehow messed up the motion. I got a chance to pressure him here as he teleported into my attack range. I mediated with 2A to start my pressure, but he push blocked some of my pressure here of course. He eventually gets hit by a dashing 2A but I failed to confirm it into a full combo. So I took the easy route out of ending my drop combo with a jump back JC to squeeze a tiny bit of damage in. You see Seiko's going for a laser here, as I was quite far enough and I didn't expect any lasers, so I got hit. After the laser hits, he tried to catch my tech directions with another laser, though I didn't tech and just let myself fall to the ground to avoid more lasers. This is why I say bloody summoning is the funniest super in the game. He caught me whiffing a move by pressing S2C and got me into a 50-50 situation. Fortunately, I guessed right and managed to punish him and took the game afterwards. Seiko's immediately starts off with a dashing 5C, but for some reason I went for a backdash 2C. Backdashing doesn't net you any rewards, but it keeps you pretty safe. He hits me with a 236S. I tried to steal some advantage back, as I thought he might be a little too slow on a follow-up attack. I ended up eating a follow-up 2C for this. I guessed right on the 50-50 again, but then the dashing 2C got me. This time I guessed wrong on the 50-50 and ate some damage. Using jump back JC can save you from drop combo like this. But then I got hit by knives and Seiko's took the round. Seiko's got another set of knives when I tried approaching. Using S2A after knives can launch the opponent lower. This never actually happened to me before, as everyone would go for like a SJB into Air Muda. This S2A launched me lower so I didn't try teching early. He got a free knockdown and went for a 50-50 that I never expected to come, so props to Seiko's for improvising. I actually guessed wrong this time and boom, half my health is gone. I dropped my pressure string early, causing Seiko's to miss a guard cancel and getting S623A instead. I also used a technique to conceal my voice by buffering the laser inside an air normal. I was planning to hit him while he was blocking, but since the S623A came out instead, I got a suboptimal punish. I decided not to go for a full tech chase, but to regain my pressure. I got a nice dashing 2A confirm off, and one more hit should end the game. And me, being as stupid as ever, goes for a very stupid bloody summoning attempt trying to catch him meeting in my landing. I of course messed up my input and there goes the game. That is it for today. I hope you will use this guide to improve your DIO even further. Be sure to visit the main server if you have any questions, and until next time, have a good day.